Hey guys, so today I'm here with an overview of 3 of the top tablets for 2010. So starting out, there of course is going to be the Apple iPad, which has been a tremendous success for Apple. They've sold millions and millions and millions of them, and people really tend to like the iPad. It's been probably the first really commercially successful tablet in quite some time. But in addition, there are 2 other tablets that very well could challenge it. So starting out, there's the Samsung Galaxy Tab, which is looking to be the premier Android tablet once it's released later on. In addition, there's also the Toshiba Folio 100, which looks to go ahead and bypass a lot of the standard sort of specs of a tablet and really go for outright speed, go ahead and be able to do high-definition video, playback, all that kind of stuff that you would expect to do on such a multimedia platform. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys an overview of each of the 3 and kind of tell you my thoughts and my opinions on them all. To begin with, let's take a look at the Samsung Galaxy Tab. So the Galaxy Tab shares a lot of things with the Samsung Galaxy S smartphone lineup, which definitely is not a bad thing. So what this means is they will, of course, run Android. It's actually going to be the latest 2.2. But it'll also carry over several of the main hardware features, including the ARM Cortex A8 processor, which is clocked at 1 GHz. So this is very similar to the iPad, which of course is heavily based off of the iPhone. So that definitely is good news for the Galaxy Tab. In addition, the Galaxy Tab also uses a 7-inch screen, which is considerably smaller than the 9-inch screen in the iPad. Now, for some people, the 9-inch screen actually might be an advantage, but for me, I think 7 inches is about the sweet spot for a tablet. It's not really all that large, because even though an iPad is very, very thin, it takes up about the same room as a laptop or a netbook, where it does take up a considerable amount of room. Whereas the Galaxy Tab, coming in at only 7 inches, should be a decent bit smaller, should be a lot easier to carry. It won't be such a big deal, they have to go ahead and carry it around. Although, of course, both these tablets are very small, very thin, very light. But when you're talking about a tablet, every ounce and every little bit of weight and height and all that kind of stuff definitely does matter. Some of the specs include it has a 7-inch Super TFT display with a resolution of 1024 by 600. In addition, it also does have 16 gigabytes of storage built in, and you can go ahead and plug in up to a 32 gigabyte micro SD card to go ahead and expand that out. Now, some of the interesting things about the Galaxy that the iPad lacks is it actually does have a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera for video chat, which is definitely a big deal, as of course the iPad really does lack all of that. I really like the Galaxy Tab. I think it's got a lot of potential, and especially just because it does run Android, it's going to be one of the first real Android tablets we've seen. So of course the Galaxy Tab will be available with 3G, just like the iPad. However, a difference between the Galaxy Tab is that it likely will be subsidized. Basically what this means is that you can go ahead and go to quite a few different carriers and go ahead and buy a 3G plan, and actually it will cut the price considerably down on the Galaxy Tab. So where in the United States the iPad starts at about $500, we've heard that the Galaxy Tab will probably be coming in at more closer to $200 to $300 with a carrier subsidy. So it's definitely good news if you're looking to get into a tablet and you do want 3G, you'll definitely go ahead and be able to get the best of both worlds. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Toshiba Folio 100. So the Folio 100 does have some similarities to the Samsung Galaxy Tab, namely the fact that they both do run Android 2.2. However, it does differ from its competitors in one big area, which is screen size. So the Folio 100 has a 10.1-inch display, which is much larger than its competitors. Now, like I was saying with the Samsung Galaxy Tab, a 7-inch display is, personally for me, I think it's really good. However, depending on how you use it, a 10-inch display also could come pretty in handy. So basically, for some of the uses of a 10-inch display would be, if you like to watch a lot of movies, a lot of extra web browsing, especially if it's not really going to be very, very portable, if you're not going to be taking it with you everywhere. Some of the specs include it has that 10.1-inch display with a resolution of 1024 by 600. It has 16 gigabytes of storage built in, and it runs the Nvidia Tegra 2 chipset. So what this means is that it should be very, very fast for web browsing and pretty much anything you do, so that's definitely a really good thing. Some of the other features include it does have, again, a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera. It also has an HDMI out port, and of course it does have support for an SD card, which is definitely really nice, as instead of having maybe a micro SD, you can actually go ahead and put all your camera memory cards and everything like that, which should definitely be a nice feature. The Folio 100 definitely looks like a very competent Android tablet. It has a lot going for it with, of course, Android 2.2. It's going to go ahead and have that big 10.1-inch display. It does have some really kind of interesting things such as an HDMI port as well as support for full-sized SD cards. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Apple iPad. Now this is a tablet most of you are probably familiar with. However, if you aren't, I'll just go ahead and just give you an overview of it anyway. So the iPad, it runs the iOS 3.2 currently, which is very similar to what you would find on maybe your iPhone, your iPod Touch, although of course much, much larger. So some of the features of the iPad include that it does have quite a few different varieties. You can get it with 16 gigabytes, 32 gigabytes, or 64 gigabytes of storage, as well as you can get it with just Wi-Fi, or you can also get it with Wi-Fi with 3G. Some of the specs include it does have a 9.7-inch LED backlit display with a resolution of 1024 by 768. Like I said, it does come in 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte capacities, and does run the Apple A4 1 gigahertz processor. Now the iPad does run iOS, and just in the next couple months it will be upgraded to 4.0, or rather 4.2, which should bring a lot of new features including multitasking, etc., etc. The iPad is undoubtedly the king of the segment right now. There's really nothing available that can really challenge it. So if you're looking to buy a tablet today, the iPad's probably what you want to go for. However, once the other two Android tablets do come out later in the year, the iPad definitely will have some competition. But of course, I'm still not so sure if anything can immediately unseat the iPad. Of course, it does have that really nice form factor. Everyone already knows it. It has access to the enormous Apple App Store, and it's just such a great experience. Everything is super, super fast, very, very responsive. So the iPad is definitely a really hard package to beat. Anyway, guys, I'm really curious to know, what are you thinking? What tablets are you really looking forward to buying or looking at or whatever? Definitely leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching.